A few months back, my life looked very different to what it does now. I was trying my best at being productive, and oftentimes I was getting stuff done, but in the end, half of the amount that I really wanted or needed to. That was because I had no clear overview over the things that I needed to get done. That again would often make me feel completely overwhelmed, and then I wouldn't do anything because I didn't even know where to start. And in these moments where I thought I wasn't being productive enough or I wasn't doing enough, the situation would often look way worse than it really was, because I couldn't actually see that a lot of the times I was also being productive. In addition to that, my thoughts were scattered all over the place. I had somehow forgotten how important and how great journaling was for me. That means processing my thoughts and emotions through writing. I have been journaling since I can remember. I have books and books from the last years, but somehow in 2019 I just kind of completely stopped. Plus, I had very clear goals and visions for the future, but oftentimes I just simply forgot about them, or I just didn't focus on them. Then I stumbled upon this cool concept called bullet journaling. Since I've been sticking to it consistently, I felt a major shift in pretty much everything I just stated, and that's why today I would like to take you through my bullet journal and how I structure it. I truly didn't expect that writing a journal would help me in the way that it did. It completely changed how I am, and I know that sounds a little bit dramatic because it's only a journal, but for me it really helps to keep track of my to-do lists, my emotional well-being, my bad habits creeping in, and everything in between. How I've structured my bullet journal works best for the things that are important in my life, but obviously that's going to vary from person to person. But that's the cool thing about bullet journaling and why you don't just buy a finished calendar. It's completely customized to what everyone needs, and you can really do whatever you want. So let's get started. I'm now going to show you exactly how I structure my bullet journal. On the first page, I start off by writing down how many boxes I have from down to up and then from left to right. Having these two numbers will make it way easier whenever I'm calculating where to draw certain lines throughout the book. Then I would suggest to write down your name and your phone number. At least that's what I like to do. I'm out a lot, and in case I ever leave the journal somewhere, whoever finds it can easily just see my phone number, call me, and then return it. And now on to my yearly overview. I start off by splitting each page into 3 columns and then writing the according names of the months at the top. Then below each month, I create a little section where I write down the days of the week, so from Monday to Sunday, and then the according dates of that month. That way, whenever I'm planning an event or a trip, I can immediately see if it's going to be on a Monday or a Wednesday or whatever. Then below that, I write down the numbers of that month. So in the end, I basically have a line for every single day of every month. The yearly overview does take some time, especially if you're doing it for the first time. I think for me, it was the most effort to make sure that the dates were correct. So if you're doing 2020, you could just copy my version, but don't copy December because I'm pretty sure that I messed up the dates there. So you don't want to copy that. I use this space to write down super important things such as birthdays or events or trips, just things that I really do not want to forget. At times I like to use some colorful pens and make it look a little bit nicer and put some effort into it. I feel like for a long time I judged that. I was kind of like, I'm an adult now, I shouldn't be playing around with colored pens. But I think if it's something you enjoy, taking time for these things that you'd often do as a child can be very calming and kind of like meditating if you don't judge it. And now on to the monthly overview. Every single month I take 2 pages where I basically draw out all of the days of that month. I create a box for every day as you would have in most calendars, and then I write the name of the month at the top of the page. Then I number all of the days and write the days of the week, so Monday to Sunday on the top of the boxes. I use the space to transfer the same things that I have in the yearly overview, but in addition to that also more everyday things such as when I have to work or when I'm meeting my friends or video schedules, just things that are not super important that I wouldn't put in the yearly overview, but just also things that I really don't want to forget. Before I go on to the daily overview, there are 3 more things I like to do every single month that I find very important for different reasons. Number 1 is the mood tracker. I basically just start by drawing a graph. Then I have the dates of the month horizontally and the smiley faces, so the mood's going up. I like to choose 2 different colors, so one for the mornings and one for the evenings, or just one for the first half of the day and then the second half of the day, because how I feel can vary a lot throughout the day. It would be difficult to just choose one mood for the entire day. So in my case, I create a purple dot for how I was feeling in the mornings and a green one for how I was feeling in the evenings. Then at the end of the month, I like to connect them all. So I go from purple to green to purple to green. It's really nice to be able to look at the entire month and kind of see how you were feeling when. and you kind of get a cool graph at the end, which would look something like this. But I don't just do this because I want a cool graph at the end of the month. I feel like when I'm focused a lot on what I need to get done and just things that I need to finish, I oftentimes forget to kind of check in and see how I'm actually feeling. And that goes for a lot of people. I feel like when we're growing up especially, we're not really taught how to be aware of how we're feeling, and so the mood tracker really pushes me to kind of sit down and think about how was I doing yesterday morning and how was I doing yesterday evening. And then I can also kind of see how maybe certain changes in my life have affected my well-being in maybe a negative or hopefully a positive way. Like Eckhart Tolle says, awareness is the greatest agent for change. And I think actually being aware of how you're doing is the first step towards that. Then the habit tracker. I just create a box for each habit and then I put all of the days of the month in it. Here I like to choose a few habits that I would like to work on that month. This month I chose 6, so I did exercise, read, draw, meditate, work on YouTube, and journal. I use this to keep track of how many of them I've been sticking to and then check off the days where I did. I try to use this in a way that it doesn't stress me. Obviously, doing every single habit consistently every single day would be impossible. I would need way more time for that. It's more to make me feel good whenever I did do something, as I can visually see it and check it off, plus to remind me that these are things that I do want to work on. As Harvey Mackay said, good habits are as addictive as bad habits, but more rewarding. I feel like it really does take conscious effort to stick to good habits instead of bad habits, and the habit tracker just makes it way easier for me. And then the last thing I do every month is to make sure that I somehow implement the concept of goal setting. I like to write a short statement where I touch on what I want to achieve that month regarding work, money, health, exercise, personal relationships, and everything that is important to me. I actually write it from the perspective of the person that I would be at the end of that month. So for February, I would say today is the 29th of February and this is how my month went and felt like. I feel like it makes a big difference to write it this way and not just write down the goals individually. I kind of feel like I am already like closer to that person, which makes it easier for me to become that person, if that makes any sense. And now on to the day-to-day overview. Personally, I like to use half a page for one day and then create 2 columns, one for my to-do list and one for my gratitude list. I feel like in most other bullet journal videos that I've seen, the gratitude part isn't implemented as much as it is for me, but I feel like kind of keeping track of what I do every single day, it doesn't always have to be positive, but mostly focused on what I'm grateful for is really important and really helps me. There are so many people already out there preaching about how important gratitude lists are. Rhonda Byrne, I think you say her name, I'm not quite sure. I feel like I have a lot of quotes in this video and kind of like in the same time, so I don't know if that's good, but I do like her quote, so I'm gonna read it. If you practice gratitude a little, your life will change a little. If you practice gratitude a lot, every day, your life will change dramatically and in ways that you can hardly imagine. I've been a fan of writing gratitude lists for years now, and I've definitely seen the results of it, so that's why I really wanted to make it a bigger part of my everyday journaling. Plus, it's also kind of nice to look at when maybe things are not going as well. To have a list of all of the things that you're grateful for can be quite helpful in those moments. I mostly draw it every single day on that morning. Sometimes I'll draw it for like a couple of days if anything, but mostly I just do it every single day. Now on to the signs I use. It's super simple. I use a dash for whenever I have an appointment or somewhere I need to go that day, or maybe let's say a birthday. A dot for a task that I need to get done. If I got the task done, I will cross out that dot, and if I didn't get it done, I will just make this arrow sign implying that it is moved to the next day. The last thing I've been forcing myself to do more often, I try to do it weekly, is to journal, and I call this the emotional recap. I feel like oftentimes I kind of get lost in whatever is happening, or I'm just simply too lazy to write down how I'm feeling, but every time I do push myself to write down and process stuff through writing, in the end I always see how great it is and how beneficial it is to me. But because I have stopped for a long time, I feel like now I have to like push myself to do it again. When I journal every single morning, it takes me maximum 10 minutes, so it's really not that much time that I put into it. I pretty much just draw 2 dots in the mood tracker, which takes me like 5 seconds. Then I cross out the habits I did the day before, which is maybe another 10 seconds. Then I write down what I did the day before or what I'm grateful for and my to-do list for that day, and that's maybe another 5 minutes. Plus, I feel like it's a really good start in the day, kind of thinking about all the things that you're grateful for from the day before, and planning out your day is a very good and positive morning routine to have. I have one more quote that I would like to read. I know I've had a lot of quotes in this video, but there's one more I'd like to read, and that is by Benjamin Franklin, and he says, "For every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned." And that's just the truth. Focusing on good habits and taking time to organize and structure your day, it's time that is definitely not wasted, and good rewards wait on the other end. So yeah, that's pretty much all for my bullet journal. I hope you enjoyed my structure and why I focus on certain things within it, and thank you very much for watching.